Okay, welcome tonight to our CPAC coffee hour. This isn't always how we run a CPAC coffee hour, and I'm going to turn it over to one of our CPAC representatives to explain that piece. But we wanted to provide a presentation tonight on park accommodations, and thank you for coming. Our teacher Jennifer Domenico will be presenting to you, and she's going to go over the different park accommodations that are available for students who need them for their special needs. So I'm going to turn it over to our CPAC representative now. This is Jennifer Williams, and she's just going to explain a little bit about our CPAC coffee hour. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. Normally our coffee hour is literally just parents, and we kind of powwow and help and give advice and give guidance to any direction that you need as far as helping with the district or any difficulties that you're having. We also take advice on things that you guys are having issues with, and then we bring it back so that when we have an executive board meeting, we can discuss that with Grace and some of the other teachers to kind of help get the process fixed where there might be some broken connections. We usually have coffee, which we have over here. Please help yourself. There's a sign-in sheet. We also have information on different services that we found information on folks that have needed things like dyslexia or Asperger's or some of the other autism, just some, to name a few. But if there are things that are missing or that you need, please reach out. All of our information, I'm actually one of the reps for Valley View. We have reps for all the schools in the K district. So our contact information is on the site under special ed. I think we're also under CPAC as well. So please reach out if you need. And I guess I'll pass the torch.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Domenico. I am a special ed teacher at Valley View School. Been in the district now, I think, 12 or 13 years. I'm losing count. I was asked by Grace to put this presentation together. It turned out that this was a need that the CPAC committee said, I think we need to learn how we can help our kids better, especially on the park. I think the park threw people for a loop when it first came out. So why not know what tools you can discuss with the child study team that would help your kids, be able to do this without struggling so much. I don't know if you've seen this little cartoon before, but I think it really describes our students with special needs very well. If you can see it, it says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. And of course, you have a fish in a fish bowl, and you have an elephant, and monkey, bird, penguin, a seal, and I think that's a dog at the end. And what's the chances that, given the same criteria, that they're all going to meet it? They all have different needs. So the state has provided accommodations to help lessen the disability so that the kids can perform. Let's see. Standardized testing may have its advantages. However, there's a whole lot of other qualities that your children possess that are not being measured. So this is just a snapshot of your child's academics for 2, sometimes 3 subject areas, depending on the year. And that's it. It doesn't tell us anything more about your child or how wonderful they are and how they've got a great sense of humor. We don't get that from this. It's not the purpose of the park. But these are so many other things that your kids are than just what this park can tell us. So this has its purpose. It's, small little purpose, academics, little portion, reading, writing, math, and that's it. I think when it came out, a lot of people were really scared by the Common Core and all these things seemed foreign and difficult and just so challenging. I think it scared a lot of people away. But the state's trying to help everybody. So there are accommodations out there. So they do have certain things already available for everybody. For example, math, there's audio for everybody. Every student gets that, it's a given. It's not a special accommodation, it's there for everybody. Directions are read aloud by proctor. It's there for everybody to hear the directions, the general directions, I should say. There's highlighting tools that the kids can use, 3 different colors, it's there for everybody. We provide headphones, we can provide it for everybody, just so, whether it's to listen or to smother out the noise. They don't have to listen to the audio, but just kind of block themselves off from any other little distracting things that might prevent them from concentrating. You can skip questions, bookmark them, but then before you submit, it'll come up, do you want to go back to these questions? It's there for everybody. There's a mask, the blank screen that you can pull up to cover and move down as you read. That's there for everybody. And you can do it for the answers as well. You can do answer elimination. That's there for everybody. Just, it puts a red X next to the ones you don't want, and to help figure out the best answer. Everybody gets scrap paper and pencils if they want to write down on the side. Those are things for every kid. Every test day, every subject, that's there. Even magnification and enlargement, there's a notepad, there's a pop-up glossary, certain words are underlined. Any kid can click on it and get a definition if they don't know what that word means. You can redirect the student to the test. If somebody's falling asleep, we can wake them up. We can't go over and say, hey, just get back to work. We're not just going to let the kid fall asleep. But there's other writing tools like on Word that they're used to using, copy and paste, bullets, undo, redo. Let's see, there's a human reader signer for mathematics. So again, there's the other tool. I think that's better on the slide. So the accommodations for students with disabilities are considered to be adjustments to the testing conditions, the test format, or test administration that will allow them or provide them equitable access during assessments for students with disabilities and also students who are English language learners. Same accommodations will apply in a lot of the circumstances. So they're not changing the curriculum, they're not changing what your student, your child should know, they're just trying to lessen the effects of the disability so that we can see what they do know. Yes? Yeah, absolutely.
For the accommodations that are for everyone, I know the kids are PC literate and everybody's high on tech, but are the classroom like English, or is there a certain class that's going to be reviewing all of those specific accommodations that are available to use for the general public?
I don't know if everybody does it. If they can choose to. It's also available on the website for the kids to do at home as well. But I'll show you on a couple other slides how you can access it. I know a lot of the teachers do. I don't know, since it's been a few years, if they still do. I know we did it definitely the first 2 years, show the kids how to use the different tools and everything.
So some of it's changed.
What's that?
It looks like some of it's changed.
Yeah, they have tried to be a little kinder, I guess. Is that the right word to our students who are taking it? Again, accommodations are intended to reduce or eliminate the effects of one's disability and should provide fair and impartial access during instruction and assessments, but also lessen the effect of the disability. But it should not reduce the learning or performance expectations. The expectations are set, and if the kids are given the right amount of support, they should be able to meet the expectations. It should not change the construct being assessed. If they're assessing comprehension, you don't want to give so many accommodations that's going to do it for them. They still need to be able to do it, but by providing audio for the stories that are being read, that are there. If the child is dyslexic and they need the audio, they're still getting a type of comprehension. It's listening comprehension. They're not being graded on decoding, so they're lessening the disability so that they can perform. And it should not compromise the integrity or validity of the assessment. Again, if there's so many accommodations, it's not an accurate read unless it's there to lessen a disability. They should never reduce learning expectations by reducing the scope, complexity, or rigor of the assessment. It's not about making it simpler and giving less requirements, but it should still measure the same thing that everybody's being tested on. So the principles of accommodations, it should be based on somebody's disability, not the category of their disability. Student is ADHD, not every student with ADHD has the same issues. You know, the autism spectrum is just that, it's a spectrum. There could be so many different things that might work for one kid that another kid's going to find annoying and not even bother. So it's about the individual and how the disability affects them, not just, oh, you fall under this category, that's what you're going to do. You can have all these. It's very individualized. It should be based on the level or access to the grade level instruction, amount of time spent in general education and current program setting. And it should be based on documented need in instruction and assessment setting. Meaning, if it's not in their IEP, the first day of the test should not be the first time they're seeing this accommodation. It should be something that they're practicing all along. If there's things in the child's IEP that are not being utilized at all, and it's being monitored in their classes that this kid wants nothing to do with this accommodation, then it should come out. It shouldn't still be there. So there's a lot of dialogue and discussion that you should have with your child, with your child's study team, to decide what's working, what's not, before the test, way before the test. So that the child has time to practice it and get used to it. So they know what, oh, I can use this on the test. And not be like, oh, what's this? I don't know what that means when on the first day of it. It should be described and documented again in an IEP or 504. It should be more specific. It shouldn't be generalized. It should be a part of the student's program, daily instruction, after completion and approval of the IEP, monitored for effectiveness, like you said, and it should be used on local district assessments and state assessments. Yes. No,
So if they have something that we utilize, like our fund, does it need to physically state that they need this on park?
Yes.
So it's not okay just to have it in their IEP, just as a generalization. It needs to specifically state what is needed for the park.
Yeah, because there's a section that for just the testing and standardized testing in the IEP that will say park accommodations, and it should be written in there. The fact that it's already documented as part of their accommodations or modifications, supplementary aids, whatever category it's already in, it's being practiced. So,
It doesn't necessarily mean you'll get it unless you
Right.
put it in.
Right, absolutely. So it's a lot easier to say, okay, they've been using it, it's there, let's just move it over. If it's not there at all, that's something you want to talk to your case manager about now. Because we do start putting groups together early or late October, November for testing already. Especially with small group testing and making the groups and trying to get everybody who's got similar accommodations in the same room, so not to add to distraction if one person gets something that's going to throw somebody else off. If we're doing, sign language or something, and they keep looking at like, what are you doing? So, all right, they should not be introduced the first time they're in the park. They should not be provided for the purpose of giving the student an enhancement that could be viewed as an unfair advantage. It's not there to enhance it for them, it's there to lessen the disability. The state is extremely rigid on this, so they make us show proof, like when these accommodations are put in, they want to know why. It's not just like, oh, here's our list. No, they can come in and do I guess, what is it, like an audit or something to see what specifically, why are these kids getting all these accommodations? There's too many. We want to see why. We want to see documentation. They can do that at every time. I guess that's their threat to the districts. We can come in at any time. So there's different categories of accommodations. There's presentation accommodations, like how is this presented to your child? What do they see? What can they do visually, basically? So there's a screen reader version if you have a blind or visually impaired child. There's compatible assistive technology that can read the screens for them. Whether if they know Braille, there's also an attachment so that they can read Braille. The Braille display, tactile booklet, so they can provide, even though it is computer-based, in certain circumstances somebody can get a written booklet still, especially if it's an enlarged booklet. Their booklets might come, they might be this big, but it's easier than trying to fit that on a computer screen and get a kid to scroll every 3 words. It's not really practical. And then graphics books, so if there's pictures or graphs, they would have tactile ones that would definitely help somebody with visual impairment. And student reads assessment aloud to him or herself. I'm like this. Sometimes I have to read things out loud in order for it to go in all the way, especially if there's other distractions going on. Sometimes I have to speak it to myself. And again, that's why we want to make sure the kids who are in small group settings that someone's going to be sitting there reading it aloud. It's not going to bother anybody. So, presentation accommodations for both ELA and math. There's text-to-speech, there's American Sign Language video, and there could be a human reader or a human signer. My little poster, every student can learn, just not the same way or not on the same day. Some days, kids just have a bad day, and it might be a testing day. Most we can do is encourage them to keep going. It'll be over soon, we promise. So those are ways we can help. Text-to-speech. For a very small number of students with print-related disabilities who would otherwise be unable to participate, we get the text-to-speech. And this is even with the italics, this came out of the PART manual, accommodations manual, that it has to be because their disability severely limits or prevents their ability to access printed text by decoding. So this accommodation is not intended for students reading somewhat, only moderately or below grade level. This is mainly for students who do have a decoding issue. Or students who have blindness, visual impairment, haven't learned Braille, or hearing impairment that prevents them from decoding properly as well. We have text-to-speech. Let's see if I can give you an idea of text-to-speech.
In the days that followed, it became perfectly clear that Cromwell was obsessed with agility. It was not merely a phase, but an addiction. He dropped his leash at Cannon's feet constantly. He read sentence courses in the backyard.
So that's what the text-to-speech sounds like. It is a little bit more of a robotic voice. Actually, kind of recorded that from my cell phone, so the background noise isn't that bad. When they've got their headphones on, it does sound a little bit clearer, a little bit better. They can speed up the voice. There's little controls on the side over here where they can stop. There's setting, and I think there's like a setting to let it speak a little faster. Sometimes it actually sounds a little more fluid and not so robotic. So there's some choices there. And whatever they highlight, I mean, you can click right at the beginning of something and press play and it'll just keep reading. If they want to go back and listen to a certain part, they can highlight it, press play, and they can hear it again. And again, there's highlighting tools and bookmarks that they can use as well to, if they want to, oh, that's the information I want, I don't want to lose it, they can go in and highlight it. It won't let me play the video. I guess must be copyrighted or something. I couldn't copy it completely. But if you were to press this, there's a little film strip on the side here. Right over here, that if you click that, the video will open and you have somebody to sign the entire passage and even the questions. You can also have a human signer that's available as well, but something for those who can't listen to the audio version. Yes. No, it means you're paying attention, so I'm good.
With this type of accommodation or text-to-speech or, any of the ones that you're showing us, who should parents be reaching out to, like their case manager, or maybe like their English teacher or their math teacher, or specific needs, or?
Yeah, I would definitely do both. If there's something that's happening in the language arts class that you feel you need to have a chat with that teacher and say, hey, could we try this or could we do this and see what happens? But I would definitely contact your case manager and say, whether it's not in the IP or not being utilized properly, say, if we take another look at this, I want to make sure that it's in there, it's getting used, and it's necessary. But definitely. And there's also like closed captioning. There's videos on the research writing portion. Usually, well, not all of them. Usually it's a video and 2 articles. Some people get 3 articles. Some students get 2 articles in a slideshow. It all depends. But there is a video transcript. So if you're visually impaired, you can't see the video, you can at least hear the transcript or read it. And then there's response accommodations. They can present it to you, how are you going to respond? So there's approved assistive technology. There's a Braille note taker and writer, calculation device, speech to text, human scribe, signer, other assisted technology devices, monitor text response, and word prediction external device. Like, what are all those things? I know the calculator, I know what that is. So, calculator section, if you have a student with a visual impairment, you can get one of those big, large ones. They're usually just fun to have anyway, but if there's a need for it, they can be provided. The large key or talking calculator or an adaptive, some other adaptive advice that's been approved. Calculators, 3rd through 7th grade use a 4-function calculator with square root % options. It's usually a little blue calculator. You may be seeing coming home every now and again, or you might have one at home. It's very basic. That's for 3rd through 7th grade. 8th grade gets to use a scientific calculator. At our school, we usually put out a flyer. You can get it for $10. It's a gray calculator. It's got a whole bunch of other options on top. High school gets the graphing calculator with the little window on it, little screen on it. I still don't know how to use one of those. I've tried, and they're confusing. But that's what's allowed for everybody at this point. But to get an adaptive one, that's got to be in the right thing.
So it's not just what's used on the monitor, they can actually have a physical
Yes.
calculator on?
Yep. There is a non-calculator section. However, the purpose is to, if you're going to give a calculation device on a non-calculator section, students have to have a severe disability, severely limits or prevents their ability to perform basic calculations. So if they know if they punch in 5 + 6 = 11, But to do that without it, because of a disability that's interfering with it, again, if student has dyscalculia or dyscalculia, you know, that could be a problem. They're reversing their numbers, they're not, you know, able to calculate properly on paper. The calculator would help them with that, even though it's a non-calculator section. Allowable mathematics tools. So these are all the different tools that kids can use during the math section if it's in their IEP. A handheld calculator, arithmetic table, so you like your math chart that the kids come home on paper and find their answers. They can use colored chips. Those probably come in more handy during word problems. Square tiles, base 10 blocks, hundreds charts, word counters, several 10-year cubes. They can all be used if there's need to lessen the disability. So English, ELA, literacy, mathematics, speech to text, to do speak. We have Dragon Naturally Speaking. The park does not allow the kids to speak into the actual program and be able to record their answers. It doesn't work. Sometimes even plugging in the headphones after you started could shut it down if it's not already there. So what usually happens is if a child gets speech to text, it's done on a separate computer, maybe even their Chromebooks, I don't know, just another device, and it will be transferred by an adult and a witness there into the test, the actual test itself on the original computer. You can have a human scribe. Somebody could write while the child is dictating. A human signer. These responses, again, will be transcribed by a test administrator. Again, it's got to be something that's going to limit or prevent. The disability has to be limiting or prevent the student from being able to do these things, whether it's motor skills or something else. It's got to coincide. The word prediction external device. Simply said, you know, when you're typing in your phone, your text messages, and it pops up, do you want to use this word, do you want to use that word, that looks similar to something that you've already started, you can just click on it instead of typing the whole word out. That's what that is. So for students who may have a physical disability, to type out everything is taxing. They may qualify to be able to have certain words already input into the device, and instead of having to type it all out, it will pop up, kind of like text messaging, along the bottom and give them choices, or a word list and give them a choice instead of trying to type everything out. And that's only for ELA. And then there's timing and scheduling. I believe the way that it reads is time as needed for students with IEPs. But they have to be done within the same day, I believe is what the state says. But yeah, tests may have until end of the school day, maybe a single test. So I've had kids, bless their hearts, go all day, even have lunch in the testing room and still work at it to finish. And they, that's grit and determination right there. That's skills we try and teach to some kids and they never have it. And I've had kids go all day. I believe even back when it was NJS, I had kids going until 10 minutes before the buses came. So these kids want to do it, they want to work hard. So again, why extended time? Well, if they're going to have other accommodations, they need more time to do it.
Are they able to like the testing room, like break and come back?
Yes.
Finish? Yeah.
Like, I know, like, if they go for, like, if it's lunchtime, they cannot go to the lunchroom to have lunch, though. because all the other kids have finished. So they can say, oh, what'd you put for this? Yeah, I'm on this, that's the whole security of the test, and that's state driven. That's not from us. We're not trying to be cool. But these kids can, all come back to the room, if everybody's pretty much on the same spot, and there's a test administrator in the room, and that can say they're not really talking about the test, they can still relax and, have some downtime before they have to get back to it. And if they need to use the bathroom or they need to get a drink, frequent breaks can be provided as well. Like, I know when I proctor the test and somebody's got to go to the bathroom, they have time as needed, so go ahead. The kids who have the time test, then you're cutting into their time. These kids without the timing or that time is needed, it's a lot easier to say, go ahead. Sometimes they might just need the break. Just get out of the room for a minute, or sometimes they have to use the bathroom, whatever it may be. And every child has a different learning style and pace. Each child is unique, not only capable of learning, but also capable of succeeding. So that's what we try and do. We want to make sure that our children with disabilities can succeed. We can lessen the disability to make this not such a frustrating process. Park itself is going, right now, all of our children from 3rd through 8th grade, it is going to be a graduation requirement when they get to high school. So even if, and I can't say opt out anymore because it's not opt out. It's not an option to not take the test according to the state of New Jersey. The state says everybody has to take the test. So the new language is that it's a refusal to take the test. You have to sign a paper of refusal if you don't want your child taking this test. But if it's going to be a graduation requirement, feel that it's a good time to say, all right, practice, try it, see what it's like. Because if they have to take it sophomore, junior year, and they've never practiced it or done it at all, or been familiar with how to use all the tools, it's gonna, it's probably not gonna go as smoothly than if they've been practicing it. Yes?
I don't know if it's changed, but there was the option for a child who could take the test to graduate, still graduate based on a portfolio of their work.
That is very hard to do depending on the disability. There has to be a severe cognitive impairment in order for a child to, now it's called the DLM, it used to be APA. If there's got to be severe enough cognitive impairment that they can't perform even with the accommodations that they allow, then that's usually, then it's taken into consideration. It's a good question.
Do they need to submit that?
If that's the case, that's a decision for parent, case manager to, and any other teachers to support.
So they should be talking about that all the way through this?
Yes, that's something that should already be determined, like even now, if there's, because we have students like, that do take the DLM, because it doesn't make sense for them with their disabilities to take the part, because it's not, even with all the accommodations, it's not going to lessen their disability enough to get them to show what they know. So the DLM is very individually based objectives or standards, Common Core standards, but they're almost pieces of them. Like the important things that you want them to get out of it. So if it's some complex mathematics thing, it might be simplified to what they can actually be taught this year and what they can, show that they can progress in it. So it might even be something as basic as knowing the basic multiplication facts or, computation. And I believe that's it. So I did make a pamphlet, a brochure, that are available over on the table. It's basically just the cheat sheet of the entire PowerPoint. So feel free to grab one. And thanks for coming. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer some questions.
When does this testing start? Third grade?
Testing starts in 3rd grade
And this one's been every year?
every year.
From after going on to the next grade?
Only for graduation from high school.
Can you repeat the question so it's clear?
Oh, sure.
I didn't get the first two, but this last one, the testing's needed.
The testing, the children do take every year from 3rd grade on up through high school. The only one that they are required to pass in order to graduate is in high school. And I believe that they can, I think, is that sophomore or junior year, that they would take that, and from that, so it gives them a little bit more time if they didn't pass it, or if they weren't proficient, that, you know, they have the next year to take it again. They don't want to just give it to them senior year and then they don't graduate. So I know that they start looking at, I believe, sophomore, junior year. Yes.
You said you start planning for the testing in like October or whatever.
Based on their current IEPs.
Right, so if you have a child, like I have a child in the 2nd grade, who's likely going to need a lot of the accommodations. At what point do you feel like they should start using things like text-to-speech or the headphone? Or like when should they start being exposed to those things?
I would say for the younger grades, you're still trying to teach certain skills in decoding and reading.
Right.
But I would definitely start to consider it, and have the discussion with your case manager in 2nd grade, because it's something, if you have an annual review at some point this year, and they're going to be in 3rd grade, and it's going to be, you know, December's might be, you know, not enough time to get them accommodated to the extra support devices that they could possibly get. I would definitely try and make sure that it's balanced with the younger age, so that if they're going to use text-to-speech or audio devices, that they're still practicing these things on a daily basis regularly, but also these things can also lessen the frustration and support, you know, lessen the frustration so that they can accomplish their tasks daily too. Yes.
I guess the question, for the park, is it more the aides or is it teachers who are actually going to be helping with the accommodations?
Teachers.
So it's teachers.
Mhm.
So the student should actually be dealing with trying to get the accommodations and how to with teachers, not necessarily aides.
Right. I believe in some circumstances, and I'm not sure what the qualifications are that the aides have to have specifically, but if there's like a scribe situation, I believe that an aide can scribe. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the aides in the room.
But there's always going to be a teacher
There has to be a teacher.
in the room.
Because they're professional responsible for that.
We sign our life away on that, and we agree to follow all the rules. So, any more questions?
If you're not required to pass on to the next grade at the lower levels, why?
Well, it does, if it's not required to,
Can you repeat the question?
yeah, so if it's not required to pass on to, like, say, 3rd grade to 4th grade, you don't have to pass it to move on. It's because they're still learning, and there's still time to try and teach students so that, you know, to meet some of the standards and requirements with the accommodations that are necessary. I'm trying to think,
It's a state test, right?
it's a state test, but it also shows the progression. If you get the printout from the state that shows your child's scores, it will give you an idea of where they are as well. And there's usually a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 and 5 are like basically the passing, proficient, they can do it side. The 3 is like they're almost there, they're so close. 2 is, you know, we need to work a little harder. 1 is they're not getting it, we need to see what's going on. So when they take it in third grade, you have nothing to compare it to. It's the first time they took it. You know, it's still new to them. So even if we have students that, you know, don't need any accommodations whatsoever, and usually, you know, straight A student, not that usually B's in third grade, but, you know what I mean, the, you know, top of the class or whatever, they might bomb it because it's the first time they took it. So it wouldn't be fair to say, you didn't pass, we're gonna hold you back here, because there's other criteria that we look at, especially in the younger grades. We look at report cards, we look at teacher comments, and we look at goals and objectives in student IEPs to see where they are.
I just had a comment though. I think a lot of people also don't look at the positive side of the park. That the old standardized testing that they used to do with everyone did not allow for a lot of the accommodations that are now readily available
Right.
to the children to show that their brain actually is at a higher level of thinking than what pen and paper will show or has shown in the past.
Absolutely.
So it actually is a forward way of thinking for a lot of those in special ed to give them, you know, more voice for themselves in education.
Absolutely, definitely. And even this simple thing of audio for the reading passages, I can remember doing New Jersey Ask, and it's like torture, because we were not allowed to read the passages at all, regardless of disability. And trust me, I wanted to cry for several of the kids because they were just like, I can't do it. And there's pretty much nothing that I could do about it because of the security and state laws, state requirements and everything. But I really do like when I heard that Park allowed the audio and passages to be read, I was like, yes, finally! Because there's so many of my students that I know just with that alone, they'd be fine. So, so they do try to allow, they're trying to, and I'm sure it'll change, and of course they leave it open with approved assistive technology, so I'm sure if something else comes out that's going to help a student, the state, it's brought to the state, they might say, okay, let's try that too. So it's still a work in progress. This is still very young for a state test, but they're trying. And we're trying to help as well by making sure that you guys know that these are the tools. And you can bring them to a child study team meeting and say, I heard about this, tell me about this, will my kid qualify for this? You gotta, it's not necessarily a buffet. You can't really say, oh, that looks good. Can you try some of that? You can try it. It might not work for everything, but at least you know what you can take with you and say, can you explain it to me?
Do they still have the availability online to see the template for the park so that kids can actually at home?
Oh yeah, there's a whole practice test
Yeah.
that they can
So they
do.
could actually go through different accommodations on the practice at home on a PC if.
Yep. Yeah, and they have, I know it's Pearson's website, because of course, I can't remember the park, it's like Park Next?
It's test nav.
Test Nav. Gotta go to Test Nav. And they have specifically, they'll have your audio version, the closed captioning version, or the sign language. They won't have every single accommodation because some of the things are going to be external devices. And they will, they have to be brought in and attached separately or done on a
Like
separate
parents are going to
computer.
go in and
Yep.
see and check it out.
Oh, absolutely. In different grade, there's a sample for each grade level as well. So you can test it out. I did it. It was torture. The first time I took it, I was like, what? But they have actually modified it and, made it a little more practical. Because I know the first year around, they were like, everybody was complaining that it was too hard. And they had eased up a little bit on, not necessarily on the standards, but the type of questioning to make it not so foreign to the kids. Because a lot is in wording, with the questions. And the teachers are really good about exposing the kids to the wording. Because sometimes, you speak so plainly all the time, and then they get this complex sounding question, you're like, I don't know what that means. So we try and make sure that the kids are exposed to that kind of wording as well. Anything else? You sure? No.
Sorry.
No, that makes me feel like, yay, someone's listening. I know you're